Time I'd like to do the employees of the month, and I will go down to the bottom and do the employee of the month. Employees of the month. Let me get the phone. This is going to be my picture taker tonight, Miss Josie or Miss Kathy. Miss Josie, I was asked a moment ago, what year did you start teaching? 2001. I was close. So, if I would right now, thank you for coming tonight. I would also thank the three technology guys tonight for coming, and board members. Every month we try to recognize employees of the month who are doing outstanding things within our school system. So this month, in the month of, we usually pick, we have a category every month. Sometimes it's janitors, sometimes we're custodians, or sometimes it's teachers, sometimes it's supervisors, sometimes it's this or that. So we've got a whole kind of schedule that we go by, and this month is support staff. And as many of you well know, we could not do this at all if it wasn't for our technology guys. And so I did send you an email a moment ago that Mr. Kofer sent for me, and I asked him to do recent accomplishments. So I want you to kind of listen just for just a few seconds about what our technology guys have recently done. They are really miracle workers, in my opinion. Here's what they have recently accomplished. They've deployed 164 new Chromebooks to Cannon County High School the freshman class. They've deployed 220 used Chromebooks to the K-8 schools for our check-in, check-out service. They've ordered, prepped, and deployed 315 new ESSER funded, thank you, Ms. Mullins, for helping us on that, and Mr. Kofer, Chromebooks to K-8. 315 new Chromebooks on top of those that I just mentioned. They've reassigned 129 Civic grant funded Chromebooks that we got last year with the Civics grant that many of our schools received. They have reassigned 129 of those so we could use now, and later we'll pay those back there. So a total of 828 Chromebooks have been made available for students' needs since April. I think that deserves some applause, in my opinion. Our technology department, while all that was going on, if that wasn't enough, our outdoor wireless internet access, we got to do that through some grant funding so that people can pull up in that parking lot right there and receive free outdoor internet. Outdoor Wi-Fi is now available from all school parking lots. Equipment for this project was just ordered in late July using ESSER funds, and the project was completed in early August. Give those guys a hand. They did that in incredible time. Other folks are still waiting, correct? Where's Brian? He's behind the magic curtain. Other folks are still waiting for that, but we got it done in Cannon County. Fantastic. Our voice over internet protocol, we have changed phone numbers in Cannon County schools. The project to deploy voice over internet phones in all classrooms in the school district continued even after we had finished up many schools and the central office in fall of last year. They continued to do this project in the middle of the pandemic, with the final two largest schools, Cannon County High School and Woodbury Grammar School, where all phones have now been deployed. We have voice over internet protocol at all of our schools, and the phone systems have been integrated with the intercom system. So there's another, Emily, where you at? Round of applause there for these guys on those many rooms at Cannon County High School and also here at Woodbury Grammar School. Centralized finance, you think that I'm not through yet. Centralized financing, the 1981 Act. Hello, Douglas, how you doing, Douglas? The centralized financing network, these guys, their technology guys, is a network for the new centralized finance department, has been installed and integrated with our school system network, saving the county thousands and thousands of dollars. A While all that was going on, our school system network infrastructure upgrade, every summer they have projects to do that they have put off that they want to get done, and a large project to double the internet speed and capacity of our school system network has been launched. The hardware that is going to go in place will be capable of 10 times the increase, but will be limited according to the amount of bandwidth that we are purchasing from our provider, thus a 2 times increase for now. But the equipment is currently staged out at the central office, and implementation is in the early phase with completion planned by the middle of the school year. So that's new equipment. We're still partnering with Educational Networks of America, our internet service provider, as well as DTC, working on this project. So again, major speed difference. The internet contact filtering upgrade. A new internet content filtering system was ordered with ESSER funding in July and is already being utilized within our school system. The new system adds remote filtering capabilities, which were activated last week. The system also will replace our inline system in the very near future, so our kids are safer on the internet because of these gentlemen. Give them applause for that. Probably the most important thing that they do. Our classroom management system, a companion product to the filtering system, will also allow teachers to interact with students on live during classes, and the system allows the teachers to view or to control student screens and also allows limited control over filtering rules. And the system is currently being tested. It's what we've talked about in our distance learners, that's going to help our distance learners and stop some of the things going on the distance learning. Our website upgrade, a new website for our school system. Our hosting provider has been vetted and selected for upgrading our school district website, and the project was started over the summer, but is temporarily on hold due to the demands of more urgent projects, yes. But that is going to be done, and revamping our website. And here's probably another one. Melinda is probably online somewhere there at Auburn, but recently a lightning strike on the Auburn school campus on July 30th resulted in significant damage to the school network. So while all of the above was going on, we had a lightning strike at Auburn, and a total of 5 network switches, 7 computers, a monitor, laser printer, and 3 VoIP phones were damaged, while we were able to fully restore and replace these items the following week before school was back in session. So tremendous things done by our guys. In addition to all those projects, our technology guys have continued to provide end user support for routine service requests, which surged dramatically at the beginning of school because they come back, they try to see what's working and what's not working, and so here they're doing that on top of a pandemic. So these guys go to extraordinary length in aiding our school system and keeping us online. And I told a fellow director of another system just a few days ago, I told that gentleman, I said, I will put, and he was over a larger school system, much larger. And I told him, I said, I'll put our technology guys against anybody, anywhere, in any part of the state of Tennessee. Would you give Mr. Brian Kofer, come on down, Brian. I know you don't want to, but you are. Mr. Tim Davis, and Mr. Michael Medford, a good round of applause for the excellent job that they did. So, Bonnie, you want to get my camera too, please? Wow, guys. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you very much. So what we try to do every month is to recognize our employees of the month. So, and I try to keep that suspense. Usually only a few people know. I thank Teresa for doing her certificates every month and getting those out. And she'll be putting those pictures, those wonderful pictures, on the big screen at the central office too when you walk in the foyer. Now, since this is the first meeting of the new year, I will assume the chair for the election of the board chairman, vice chairman, chairman pro tem. But first of all, I would like to call roll to make sure everybody here is here and we have a quorum. Mr. McMackins.
Here.
Ms. Duggan.
Here.
Mr. Mullins.
Here.
Mr. Fan. Here. Ms. Thomas.
Here.
We do have a quorum. All members are present. So welcome to your first official meeting of the Cannon County Board of Education for your new terms. In the method of election of officers, according to Board Policy 1.200, at the first regular meeting in September each year, the board shall organize by electing a chairman and a vice chairman and chairman pro tem to serve one-year terms or until a successor is named. In the event that an officer's seat on the board is vacated, the board shall elect a successor to serve the remainder of the officer's term. Each board officer shall be eligible for re-election. If no officer of the board is serving at the time of the organizational meeting, the secretary, which is myself, shall call the meeting to order and preside until a chairman is elected as the first order of business. If the office of chairman is vacated prior to the expiration of the annual term, the vice chairman shall assume all responsibilities of the chairman until a new chairman is elected. I have placed in your packet in the workshop the duties of the officers, being chairman, vice chairman, secretary, which I do, or unless I to appoint a designee, and the chairman pro tem. So at this time, the floor is open for the election of a chairman. A motion can be made, a nomination can be done. It does not require a second. The floor is open.
I nominate Javen Fan for chairman.
Motion has been made by Derek Mullins for Javen Fan as the chairman. Do I hear any other nominations? Do I hear a motion for all nominations to cease then?
I'll make that motion. I'll cease.
Motion made by Mr. Wade McMackins for all nominations to cease.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Mullins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries unanimously. All those in favor of Mr. Javen Fan, please state so when I call the roll. Mr. McMackins.
Yes.
Ms. Duggan.
Yes.
Mr. Mullins.
Yes.
Mr. Fan.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
We have 4 ayes, no nays, 1 abstention. Your new chairman is Mr. Javen Fan. I will continue with the election of vice chairman. Do we have a motion for vice chairman?
I'll make one motion to nominate Mrs. Thomas.
Motion made, nomination made, excuse me, by Mr. Wade McMackins for Miss Aletha Thomas. Any additional nominations from the floor? Do I hear a motion to all nominations to cease?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Derek Mullins that nominations would cease. Any opposition? All those for the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition. Motion carries. All those, we'll do a roll call vote for Miss Aletha Thomas. Mr. McMackins.
Yes.
Ms. Duggan.
Yes.
Mr. Mullins.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
I will pass.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes, no nays, 1 abstention. Ms. Aletha Thomas is our vice chairman. Now we have the office of election of the chairman pro tem. What the chairman pro tem does, as I explained the other evening, they take over in case the vice chairman or the chairman or the vice chairman is out. You can still have order of operations since you can have 3 members being present. So the example is, if Ms. Thomas or Mr. Fan were absent, then the other 3, Mr. Mullins, Ms. Duggan, and Mr. McMackins, could carry on business for the Board of Education.
I'd like
So-
to nominate Mr. Wade McMackins.
Motion made for the election of Chairman Pro Tem, Mr. Wade McMackins. Any additional nominees? Do I hear a motion, all nominations shall cease? If you would say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All those in front of, for Mr. Wade McMackins as the election of Chairman Pro Tem. Mr. McMackins,
I pass.
Ms. Duggan,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Mr. Fan,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes, no nays, 1 abstention. There you have your officers for the 2021 school year. Would you give them a round of applause? Chairman Fan, I relinquish the chair to you, sir.
All right, everyone. I'd like to start off by saying just a little bit. I think we're in for a little bit of rough times in the Cannon County school system. We're already in a little bit of a rough patch as we speak due to COVID, but I'm willing to work with everyone here. I'll do my very best to support you in all your endeavors and everything you wish to change or wish to upgrade or wish to help the school system. Let's try to keep it civil. I don't like a whole lot of Facebook stuff, and that gets things blown out of proportion, but you got to do what you got to do. But I do wish we could keep it between ourselves and try to discuss things between ourselves before we go other places. That being said, let's get started. Item number 2 on the agenda, I think we have a request by our director to add, I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of myself, add something to the agenda. That was the nomination of a vice director of schools. Do I have a motion to add that to the agenda?
I make that motion.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. Call the roll.
Motion made to revise the agenda by
Put it-
adding
put it-
at number 12, approved Deputy Director of Cannon County Schools per recommendation of the Director of Schools. Mr. McMackins,
Yes.
Ms. Duggan,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
All right, item number 2, do we approve the amended agenda? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Motion's been seconded. Call the roll.
Motion to approve the agenda. Mr. McMackins,
Yes.
Ms. Duggan,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins, I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas,
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays on the revised agenda.
Item number 3, consent agenda. Let's approve the minutes of the August 13th, 2020 meeting and the August 18th, 2020 meeting of the Boards of Education. There are no bus trips. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second's been made. Call the roll.
Motion made by Mr. Mullins, seconded by Ms. Thomas to approve the consent agenda. A, approve the minutes of the August 13, 2020 and August 18, 2020 meetings of the board. No bus trips. Mr. McMackins,
Yes.
Ms. Duggan,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas,
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
Item number 4 is to approve the school board meeting schedule for the 2020-2021 school year. Mr. Curtis?
What you do, ladies and gentlemen, as discussed the other night at the workshop, this is to approve this. This is by board policy number 1.400, and you have to schedule your meetings as the very first item of business on your regular agenda. This is your item of business to approve all the meetings. And we have the dates approved there. I'll read those if you would like, but you have those in front of you, and we discussed those at the workshop. So, Mr. Chairman, I would move to that these would be adopted by the board. You've looked at those. Again, you meet on the second Thursday night of the month by board policy. So the only other exception to that will be at the November meeting, which is during the TSBA convention. So I would, that's the only change, and your workshops vary on Mondays and Tuesday nights throughout the year. So you would like, for any board member would like me to read all those dates, I'll be happy to read those. But if you've got those, and then we have to supply those, like I said, at the workshop to the press. And we have a member of the press here tonight, and I will get those to them first thing in the morning. That will go, instead of a proposed draft, it will be approved here at our meeting tonight.
Anybody have anything you want to add or ask questions about? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Second's been made. Call the roll.
Motion made by Mr. Mullins, seconded by Ms. Thomas, to approve the attached schedule of workshops and regular meetings of the Cannon County Board of Education for the 2020-2021 term. Mr. McMackins.
Yes.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
Item number 5. Policy recommendation regarding cheerleading being classified as a sport and allowing homeschool students to participate. I'm sure we've got a few comments on that, do we?
Yeah, I didn't know we was going to count it as a sport. I thought we were just going to give permission.
Your motion, Mr. McMackins, if I can, Mr. Chairman.
You may.
Your motion would be to allow homeschool students to participate. You don't have to name it a sport, just participate per TSSAA guidelines is how I would word any kind of motion that would be done. And have talked to the attorney that he would approve such a thing as long as the insurance policy is identical to what we're using right now at the elementary school level for elementary homeschoolers to participate. That's a $1 million liability policy. It's what we have per the board from a long time ago. It's what they've been doing for a number of years.
What about the high school?
I'm sorry.
Insurance?
Well, the insurance is covered if it's a sport. It's covered by TSSAA automatically. And if they're a student of Cannon County High School, then it's automatically covered by our school insurance, Tennessee Risk Management.
So the parent will have to provide the insurance.
Correct. And that's in TSSAA rules where the homeschooler must provide proof of basic primary medical insurance coverage, and the administration of the school must submit to TSSAA a copy of the indemnity form. And that's indemnity form that we use. We won't need an indemnity form here because they're not a student of the high school. That's where you get into the legalities on that. And so the attorney suggests you don't have to do the indemnity agreement, but you would have to have a liability policy in place of the indemnity agreement. Regular athletes have to sign the indemnity agreement for TSSAA insurance to take over after our Tennessee Risk Management does it, and the medical insurance of a student were they to be hurt. So I hope I've explained that and not confused you on that.
How large does the liability have to be for high school?
Well, $1 million is what we do with the elementary, and that's what he suggested we do the
High
same.
school too?
The high school too.
Any more discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
That motion includes,
You may read the motion or what I think
Your
the
own
motion
reading.
is. Motion is to allow homeschool students to participate in cheerleading per all TSSAA guidelines, including the purchase of insurance policy identical to the elementary school homeschool athletes for $1 million of coverage. Is that the motion that I'm hearing? Am I hearing anything else I need to add to that motion?
motion's been made and seconded. Call roll.
Motion made by Mr. McMacken, seconded by Ms. Duggan, to allow homeschool students to participate in cheerleading per all TSSAA guidelines, including the purchase of an insurance policy identical to the elementary school homeschool athletes for $1 million of coverage. Mr. McMacken.
Aye.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Finn.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes and no nays.
Item number 6, Marcia Melton will address the board concerning a revised report card for first grade. Ms. Melton?
So I think Mr. Curtis gave you a copy of a green report card. That was our former report card. I just wanted to be able to show you that there's a little bit of difference, but the amount of things that we're checking on and for math grade are about the same. And that we have Miss Josie Sism here. She's representing the first grade teachers. We've been knowing we wanted to make these changes since last year when we started our new curriculum adoption for ELA. And they started working on it last fall, met a couple of times during the shutdowns, having their PLCs to talk about it. Miss Lisa Vickers from Auburn Town, she was sort of our technical assistant who put it together in that pretty format that we presented to you on Tuesday night. So if you have any questions, Ms. Sism would be happy to answer those for you.
Anybody got any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
I make that motion to approve it.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Call the roll.
Motion made by Ms. Thomas, seconded by Ms. Duggan, to approve the first grade revised report card as submitted by the first grade teacher committee. Mr. McMacken.
Aye.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Finn.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
Welcome. Item number 7 is to approve audit bids. Mr. Curtis?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you would look there at the audit bid opening, we had 2 bids from Matlock Clement CPAs of $9,000. And the second bid was to Tamara L. Beckman CPA for $8,500. And the bid for 2019-2020 was $6,500. So it's a $2,000 increase from last year at the lowest bid is. And the audit's been done by Mr. John P. Young, CPA for multiple years. And Mr. Young is retiring. Now this audit is for individual schools. It's called the Individual Schools Activity Funds. And these are the funds that each school principal has. Principals can probably tell you that auditing is not any fun, and they have to get that in at the very end of the year. And our principals who are available online and also in the audience may want to make a comment about that. And regarding audits, never fun, never easy, but we look at the findings that the audit does, and those are, again, the funds controlled by the individual schools. And that means whatever they do at their school, then it goes through their checking account at that individual school and not central office. So Douglas, you want to say anything maybe in regard to the audit bids?
Which line item does this come out of, Douglas? You know which line item this comes out of? So where are we gonna move it from?
And that would normally be done, Douglas, in the latter part of the year, usually in June, with a budget amendment going over to the,
So I have a motion to approve.
Can I make one comment?
Sure.
We're under the understanding that why we don't have any more bids is strictly because most of these organizations and businesses do not qualify to do this audit, right? And are we under the understanding that we only got 2 back because most people are not used to doing these or don't want to do it, or it's out of their scope? Or? That's all I have.
Motion from anybody to approve?
I'll make a motion. We approve Ms. Tamara Hillbeck in the lower to do the audit for $8,500.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Call the roll.
motion made by Mr. Mullins, seconded by Mr. McMackins, to approve the bid of Tamara L. Beckman, CPA, for the amount of $8,500 for the school audit bids. Mr. McMackins.
Aye.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins. Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays. And we'll take care of that in the morning. We'll let Douglas will let her know. And we'll get moving on that. So congratulations, principals, on what I did.
Item number 8, distance learning discussion. I'm just going to open the floor up to you guys. If you have anything you want to say.
Would you like me to lead the discussion, Mr. Chairman? Because I can.
Nobody?
Uh,
I think we need to do something. We need to give,
I think we need to figure out if we can enforce the same rules and regulations that we require in the classroom. There's no need in expecting the kid to be able to get away with stuff or not do stuff that they're supposed to do in the classroom. But we need to make sure that it's
legal.
100% we can enforce that. Go ahead, Mr. Curtis.
Mr. Chairman, I did work on this diligently since we last met and the workshop. If you'll look at what I sent to you earlier today, and I did consult with the Cannon County Board of Education attorney, Mr. Michael R. Jennings, regarding the proposed motion. And the motion that I have right now is to authorize the director of Cannon County Schools to utilize discretion to make determinations regarding individual student placement, i.e. distance learning or traditional learning, with the same authority as if the student were in the traditional setting. Now, I've asked principals to look at that. I've received numerous comments regarding this motion today. And I know we have 2 principals there, assistant principal and some online that would talk even more about this. What this does is to put some teeth into what needs to be done for these that are non-participants of distance learning. Now, I've also talked to supervisors about this today, including our attendance supervisor, Ms. Patterson, who is here tonight. And what we have looked at too, if they have not checked in or are not checking in or participating, it becomes an attendance issue. And we will utilize the attendance intervention checklist following established tiers 1 through 3. And this has been in effect, what you have on that attendance intervention checklist, it has been in effect for 3 years, correct, Ms. Patterson? So what we're going to look at, if they've not checked in, not done anything, we're going after them there for truancy. And so let it be made known tonight. If a student has not been checked in, we will be checking on you. And I will do that. We will do that deliberately following the tiers that all these steps are completed. So if someone has not checked in totally, then we will be going after them, or just a little bit. We look at that as being truant. And you can, according to our attorney, that you can go after them, and Mr. Jennings has endorsed this. He's reviewed it and endorsed it, that it can be done. There are still our students, even though they are remote learning, or distance, as I call it, and as we have named it, distant learning. They're still our students, and they're still accountable. And Ms. Patterson, please come to the mic and correct me or do anything in saying they are still our students and truancy laws still apply. There is your answer. Truancy laws still apply even if they are virtual learners. Okay, everybody clear on that? And I want the public to be made clear on this, that we will be contacting you, the school will be contacting you, and then the central office will be contacting them. And you can see on the tiers, all the tiers that are currently being done, and then tier 2. What principals needed, I believe, is some teeth behind this, of saying, yes, we can do things in regard to attendance. So we knew attendance, but what we really needed to know was the other things involved, discipline issues, and if they're just checking in just to check in enough, and then they leave, or they're not there, they just only accounted for present, and to do that. So to look at that issue, look at your clarifications. So no check-in or participation is an attendance issue that will utilize attendance interventions checklist following establishing tiers 1 through 3. Now, what about number 2? Very little or bare minimum participation. Okay, that is an academic issue also. Assignments aren't done. They check in, but they don't do them, or they are doing other things, or playing music, or not participating. Well, guess what? They're not participating. It's an academic issue. We would not tolerate that in the classroom, and we will not tolerate that on virtual. So we will utilize academic intervention checklist. Now notice the difference. You had an attendance checklist, then you're going to have an academic checklist with failing students' participation in distance learning privilege revoked with cause. So if they're not participating, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing anyway, and assignments aren't being turned in, and things aren't being done. Now, I don't want to come off incredibly strong here, but I will tell you this. We have some that are doing what they're supposed to do with fidelity. And to those students, I applaud them. But then you have others that are, I don't want to call them deadbeats, but they're not doing anything hardly, just enough to get by. And so those, we're going to develop a checklist. Notice down at the bottom, please see the attachment, attendance intervention checklist, but also an academic intervention checklist that will be developed in the next few days for Cannon County High School students, which I think we already have something very similar to that. And I've asked our elementary principals to help come up with an academic checklist for the elementary schools. So they will be working on that, and we will be starting that role. What I'm going to be asking after this meeting tonight, I'm asking principals to give me a listing of those students that have not been checking in. We can do that with our attendance software, but I want a listing of those students that are just not checked in, those ones we're going to do attendance-wise. Then I want a list of those that are non-participants or very little participation. Then we're going after those students academically. And we can do that When you look at that PowerPoint that was released by the high school to you, it's atrocious that many of our virtual students are not doing nothing. And so we don't tolerate that in the classroom. We're not going to tolerate it via our distance learning. I think everybody agrees with that on the board in regard to that. Any questions so far on one or two?
Where are we gonna draw the line at? I mean, is it too much to ask that you have to have at least a C average to continue? Can we draw a definite line at where we do this?
Absolutely, particularly if they're failing one or more or two or more subjects or whatever, I'll get with the principals and we will come up with a recommendation for you that we do that. But I think for elementary principals, I'm gonna put my elementary principals on the spot. And Dr. Melton, what do y'all think about that? What do you want to put? Do you want to put a line on that, an academic line on the interventions? And that's what I'll be asking for too, as part of those interventions.
Start to intervene. And,
Where would you in the classroom? That would be my question. So Ms. Casa, you would like to? And you would normally, Principal Hancock, you would probably intervene somewhere between, from that first progress report. I know high school, Mr. Nichols is at a soccer game tonight that we're having on campus at the high school. But we talked with him earlier and he was saying the same thing. He said they're failing multiple courses. That's what got his attention, him and his staff's attention, was the amount of failures that they were doing. Principal Hancock, you want to say that maybe something more toward the elementary level?
Intervened in all different ways, parent meetings, teachers, working with that student more individually. As far as that is going with the distance learners, we are sending, like we're sending the SRO to do home visits and things like that. So we are making progress. We just need to make sure we can continue to do that.
And principals really wanting clarification from you and from me that that I wouldn't do this as unilateral, but I had your backing to go ahead and do this.
When's the end of the 9 weeks?
The end of the 9 weeks is October 1-4. Correct. Well, it's going to be October 14th now. They did that revision. So it'd be the Wednesday before we go out for fall break, October 14th.
Okay, and our school board meeting is before the end of the 9 weeks.
October
correct?
the 8th. Yes, ma'am. I think that's correct. If you look on my schedule.
So if we don't make a decision until the end of the 9 weeks, we won't be making a decision until November. Because our board meeting is before the end of the 9 weeks.
Yeah, October the
That's a
8th.
long time.
It is.
If that was my kid, that's too long for them to be doing that.
So by the motion to authorize us to do that, and I will do that to those individuals, designate principals to do that, we will get this done. We will make sure that there's teeth in this, and we will get this done.
And this also includes the disciplinary actions we
Yeah,
had.
that's 3 and 4. That's 3 and 4. I'm going to address those in just a second. But if I can, Mr. Chairman, I'll move on to 3 and 4. And if there's anything, is there anything about 1 and 2 about attendance or academics? Okay, let's go to number 3. Disciplinary issues with distance learning participants will be addressed through this motion and the director principal, slant principal's discretion to remove the privilege of distance learning with cause. So that is giving principals, myself and principals, not just to remove it willy-nilly, but to remove it with cause. Meaning, Ms. Cossey had a situation where I authorized her to do it immediately. The parent agreed, and we cut it off because there was a situation involving hacking is what the situation involved. We moved rapidly on that, and that privilege was removed. And I believe that mother brought that student back that same day. Is that correct, Ms. Cossey? That's just one example. But we've got others playing music. We've got others. Ms. Camcock sent me something today and regarding the disruptions that are being done. These students are fast learners. The hacker was 6th grade. They are fast learners. And they've been texting each other and using part of the Google Suite to hang out with one another, just like they're slipping notes like we used to do in class. They're doing it electronically with each other. And then instead of doing what the teacher's saying to do, they are fast learners, rapid learners.
Probably got a game of Fortnite going on the side.
They probably do. Is there anybody online of our other principals that are online? Angela, y'all can see those over there. Tell me any other principals. Okay, would any other principals would like to speak upon the attendance or minimal participation or disciplinary issues? Any of our other principals, would you unmic?
Mr. Curtis, this is Miss Karen.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Karen.
I've reviewed your plan, and I think that gives us the teeth that we're looking for to back us to be able to address not just the ones that are not participating, but the ones that are participating, interrupting our classes, and the ones that are showing up on the video and not turning in any of the work. I think it kind of covers everything that we proposed on at the workshop.
Okay, Miss Melinda. Is she there? Okay, could you unmute Ms. Crook?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, at Auburn, I know we've got a little bit different. I'll talk about that in my comments.
He's like, well,
Any comments that you're having in regarding distance learning?
Well, I mean, we had a few little issues today because of internet, but you're talking about before today, before.
That's correct. In regard to the motion and regarding the director to utilize discretion to make determinations revolving distance learning or traditional learning.
Yes, I really like the plan you sent. I think, like Miss Karen said, I don't want to just say the same thing, but we needed something like this plan because we have students not participating and not turning work in and not showing up a lot. So I think this will be a step in the right direction.
And Auburn will be on distance learning until the 21st.
Through the 18th.
And y'all have begun that, and I know it's a challenge, and I appreciate your teachers and every effort, Ms. Crook, during that time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, who else did we have over there? Miss Stephanie Alexander from Short Mountain. Miss Alexander?
I agree with both Miss Melinda and Miss Karen. I think that this covers everything that we discussed on Tuesday night quite well. One of the things that I have found to be quite helpful with the students that I have who have not been checking in or who have not been turning in work, I have begun making calls this week about truancy issues. I've had parents in the building multiple days in the past couple of weeks, and actually just reteaching parents on how to use the technology and reiterating the expectations.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Any other principals on there that I'm seeing? Anybody up there, Emily? Okay, I know Mr. Nichols is supervising a high school soccer game tonight, home soccer game that is going on currently there, but we did talk with him earlier today, and of course the high school, I've asked for a different, an academic intervention checklist to be developed by his staff, and then also one from the elementary principals and their staff. So we will try to get that done immediately. Number 4 is probably the pressing issue that is in this room, and that is the exploration of curtailing distance learning if COVID-19 situation continues to improve after the first 9 weeks grading period concludes on October the 14th, 2020. Now, notice what I said. We're not closing down, but we said we would do this for the first 9 weeks. That's what we said when we proposed this in the continuous learning plan. What this is an exploration of curtailing, and I did learn that was a 3rd grade vocabulary word for me, curtailing. But I was saying that word curtailing, we're looking at slowing this down and saying if COVID-19 and some of our sister school systems throughout the state are already doing the same in other of our neighboring counties, are starting to say, we're going to back off of this and go full traditional. And I think that's a wise move. It kind of lets us see what happens with COVID. We are down to, I've not looked on the dashboard today, Ms. Bonnie. I probably we were in the 30s, into the high 30s just yesterday, I think. So, but we're continuing to go down the early 40s, late 30s, and that is decreased and going to and continue to decrease. So as COVID dissipates, then I believe that we can look at further curtailing our distance learning. And I did leave in for this. One positive that I think our principals will tell you that we've learned is that this thing has worked out really kind of, we've got some positives out of this, particularly our homebound students. And utilizing our technology with our homebound students that do have medical exemptions that are needing, that can still, if they can, Zoom or Google Meet into that class, that a teacher will have that student there with them if they're having to be out for longer periods of time for medical exemptions. I think that's a positive for us. And talking to the high school, some of the high school teachers that you can do that, they can pop into your class and then participate and do the testing or whatever we need to do remotely. That would save time instead of taking more time. It would save time. So my appreciation to them. But notice what I said: medical exemptions will be approved through the Cannon County Schools homebound program to continue distance learning. And again, board action will be needed October the 8th, the 2020 meeting of the board. So again, when you're looking at that, if we decide to curtail it, we still have an option with in the homebound paperwork, they have to get a doctor's excuse, a doctor's note for at least 30 days. Correct, Ms. Patterson? So homebound, the paperwork would have to be done for that to, if we're going to look at this totally going, but we don't know which way COVID's going. It could go the other way. And then if you have to close down, go to remote learning, that's the state jargon. If you had to go to remote learning for an entire school, you can still have the capability to do so. So any quarantine students would automatically have that medical exemption for the 14 or the 10 days if they test positive, and the 14 days if they're a contact, that they could utilize that and not lose any class time, unless they can't get to a computer or get on. So that's a win-win in my opinion.
Mr. Curtis, this is Ms. Karen.
Go ahead, Ms. Karen.
I also would just like to mention to the board, and several principals have piggybacked with our text message earlier, that we've discovered a great tool for us, because if we have to remove a student from the classroom because of behavior issues, we can turn those Google Chromebooks on and they can still hear all the instruction and do all of the work while they're in an in-school suspension situation. So that's also a plus. The technology that's been added is being used inside the classroom, so that hasn't been wasted at all. So even if we were to curtail the distance learning, we still have really added to the tools that our students have in our county right now, and the principals as well.
So in-school suspension, this would greatly aid in-school suspension then. Correct, Ms. Karen?
Absolutely. And we use that as a last resort, but sometimes kids just need a break to get out of that busyness of the regular classroom. And it's not always necessarily a punishment. Sometimes it's just a step away for a little while. And it was going on in the classroom, see the exact same work. So they didn't miss anything at all by being removed from that classroom. So that was a really big win. And some other principals have said that they're using it that way as well.
Okay, any additional questions for any of our principals or our supervisors?
Okay, that's covered quite a bit on the students. What about the teachers that are having to work double time? Have we found a way to give them any time for planning? Or
that is a work in progress, Mr. Chairman. And we will have to look at that because we do have some in-service days built into the schedule. And we could possibly use some of those days to go, but if you go full virtual and you're trying to still want your teachers to do planning, some of those are synchronous learners, and then you would have some difficulty there. The only thing is, if we were to use, we could utilize some of our stockpile days to do so, because usually if teachers are going to be off a particular day to have to work on that, then you would have to have something for those students to count that as a day. Am I correct, Dr. Melton, on that?
I feel like the price is right. So we could ask to change our calendar. We haven't used very many snow days in the past few years. We've used more for regular flu season and for rainy weather. Those from Auburn Town sort of know how that can get over there. So we do have that option, and that would be a help to teachers to have those days. But once again, if we use them, then we wouldn't have them for snow days if needed. But since we're learning really how to pivot quickly, and we could just have off-campus instructional days, and everybody could, on their snow days, watch the snow at home and use their Google Classroom.
And I don't think that's what they wanted to hear.
But teachers are, Mr. Chairman, teachers are working incredibly hard right now.
They're tired.
And incredibly difficult. I mean, I was with the Auburn Town teachers day before yesterday, and just talking with them about, their shutdown and how they were going to do that. But they said it was kind of a rehearsal for them in what they had been doing to go full virtual. And so to me, that was a compliment in what we were doing. But we could get, let's see, Ms. Cossey or Ms. Hancock, would y'all say something in regard to teachers? And also Josie, we have a teacher here. So Josie represents the first grade teachers. So Josie, I'm gonna put you on the spot. How's that? It's not the first time, I don't believe, is it?
I can say that we are working really hard. I've talked to Marcia about it a lot, and I'm just gonna speak on myself. I'm a seasoned teacher, and the season I am in my life, I'm not needed as much at home, so I can freely give extra, and when I say extra, 2 hours every day, and not think twice about it. But there are a lot of teachers that are not in the same season as I'm in. They have young children, they have sports, they have a growing family, they have a lot going on, and I forget, and I had forgotten, and I was woke up on last Friday because some teachers came to me. So I hear you, Javen, and I appreciate what you're saying, because we are doing more. We really are. And when I'm doing my online students in my classroom, I'm actually been thrilled with it. It's gone great. I've loved it, but it's literally 2 classes. What I'm with first grade, I've got 5 online right now. There were 9, and 2 more are going to come back on Monday, and I'm just thank you that they're coming back. But it's literally 2 classes, and I'm doing synchronous. Everything is synchronous. They know they come on at 8:15. They're on till almost 11. They come back at 12:15. They leave at 1. They're back at 1:50, and they don't leave till 2:30. I mean, we're boom, boom, boom. They're with me. So it's been a lot of planning and stress today. And I hate to say this, I was glad that the internet went down because I hadn't had a break. And I feel like I'm not getting to enjoy the students in my classroom as much because I'm not as silly and I'm not as personal with them, because I'm having to, I know somebody else on that other screen, whether it be a grandmother or a mom or an aunt or an uncle, they're seeing me and they're hearing me sing, and I know they're thinking, oh my gosh, she's terrible. You know what I'm saying? So really, we are putting a lot in. We are. And I've talked to Marcia about it, and we've discussed, you know, what are ways that we could get around it to give us a little more time. So I know that everybody's kind of in a pickle, but I think teachers would really appreciate just a little bit of something where we can be in our classrooms and do some planning, and especially with our new curriculum, which I do love. So, but it's a lot in itself. So
I think we need to look into seeing what we can do. I know it's hard to do that, but I really think we need to give them some planning time, because they are basically teaching 2 classes. We're working 2 jobs
Absolutely.
to the same pay.
They have to have some relief. They have to. Because if they don't succeed, the failure rates, the things that we're seeing just gets worse.
I think
Because-
we need to try to find something that we can do. I mean,
Yeah.
just look into it as much as you can, because I know it's,
Absolutely. And we've got a good team. We've got a great team of principals and supervisors that will assist us in trying to come up with some sort of plan to do that without having to damage our 180 days that we're required to do. And that's the balancing act that we have. There's the board, is we have 180 days that we, in the school year that we have by state law. And we have to do those 180 days. So if you take a day from somewhere, but if we could call it a virtual day where then, and what I envision here, and I don't know how to kind of word this, but what I could envision is a asynchronous day for the entire system, where teachers are allowed to work and plan, but everybody else goes on an asynchronous duty, which I don't think, Ms. Josie, I mean, that would help that situation where you would have double amount of work. You're sitting home on, let's say, a Friday or a Wednesday or whatever day of the week we want to do that. You would send that asynchronous work, teachers would report, and they would give them some extra time, but then you'd have double amount of work to grade, and the next day when they came back would be the only thing there, and do asynchronous activities. I don't know if that's permissible under our regulations, but I think it's something to explore. Dr. Melton, you might know of anything. Mr. Cofer, where's our Vanna White of our? But then again, you get into the issue of childcare too for parents, and we can handle our teachers' kids probably utilizing some of our staff to assist in watching those students. But then you get into childcare issues that this is an unplanned absence where somebody's going to have daycare or whatever to do that would be the issue.
But I
I'm
think,
sorry, Dr.
I
Mel.
think if the parents were given enough notice that every Friday they were going to have to find somewhere for their children to go. But what about the kids that don't have computers to do that? Would you guys do paper packets for them? Okay.
Right.
I really wouldn't say it was the computer issue,
It's
it's
the
the internet.
Yes.
And we could do paper packets
Okay.
for them, and they would know what their plan was for the next day.
And some of the computers, if they had our one-on-one students, which Mr. Cofer, we're hoping to be one-on-one, we're already one-on-one with the 6th grade up, correct? Even those students could download on the thumb drives the work for that next day and have that already ready to go when they leave out. Let's say you did it on a Friday, you did it on a Thursday, you load the thumb drives up, and from 6th grade up, I don't think that's a huge issue. And the high schoolers, they've got the cell phones, they make them a hotspot, and they do this work on the Chromebooks on their hotspots. I mean, it's just that's simple for high school students. But then we've got some high students that I have very few high school students that are asynchronous. When I talked to Mr. Nichols on that, some of his team on how many, but it's a handful that's asynchronous at the high school right now.
So I think Ms. Cossey wasn't on the mic when we talked about, but she said some of the same things that I was going to say, that when we looked at that continuous learning plan, when we first created it, thinking about how we could do that online learning or remote learning for one day a week. And, we purchased the IXL program, and students could be able to access that. We could assign them a math portion and a reading portion that day. An art teacher, or art might not be as easy, but PE, because I know the PE teacher last year was loading things on there, so they could upload something so they could have a PE session, they could have a library session, maybe where a teacher was doing a read aloud. The Tennessee Department of Education has got has loaded a whole lot of things on their videos of teachers teaching and some packet things. We actually were part of a group last year called Instruction Partners, and they gave us some grab and go packets that we could send as paper products out too if we had some days like that. We could try it for a few weeks and see what happened. Of course, if we all go back, if we're thinking that we're going to go back after fall
Dr.
break.
Melton, and I know Lisa's not here. She's on, I think she's online. Lisa Black is our data person. Would we have to go back and we wouldn't have to do anything on scheduling right there with the state or anything on that?
We might
Would
have
we,
to,
would we not, since we're going full virtual for everybody or asynchronous for everyone?
I think, and Bonnie might know this too, that plan, I think we'd have to check in with our core director, Ms. Janice Fox, Dr. Fox, and find out what we'd have to do to our plan to submit into the State Department and have approval on that. Because I think it was an option.
It was an option under the hybrid. It was definitely an option under the hybrid.
Right.
So
Mr.
you-
Curtis, this is Jennifer.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Jennifer.
I'm sorry. I would ask the board to consider your food service personnel and bus drivers. My food service workers are hourly employees, and if we were not in school on Fridays with no students, that would be a hardship for them. So we would just need to work in our plan something for that. And I just want to be their voice in that too.
And so Jennifer, could your food service workers, could they come in and work on cleaning and do some extra cleaning and other activities on that particular Friday if we were to have a planning, what we call a planning Friday or a planning Wednesday or whatever? Could they come in and do some extra duties during that point?
I cannot sustain revenue and paying them without students there to produce the revenue.
So what if we did a meal distribution on the day before? Or the day of?
Well, I think
doing a meal distribution the day of for virtual learners, for all of those learners to come in and do a meal distribution then. Would it help you there that you wouldn't lose that revenue?
it would if people would participate. And usually the only way people participate is the teachers or someone's giving something out at that, because we saw through summer feeding, we did not have near the numbers that we did, you know, during normal times. And I'm not saying I'm against any of this. I'm for the teachers getting everything they need. I just want that to be thought about in the decision.
One thing too, could we supply those, since everybody's free anyway, could you supply 2 days under the regulations they are now? Could you supply 2 days of meals on that Thursday? Let's say theoretically that Thursday, could you supply a meal for Friday to send home with every student?
I could, but my concern with that is food safety, because milks are not going to be good by the time they ride the bus all the way home or whatever we're sending. So I would just have to really, I don't really feel comfortable about that. But because I do have an obligation to keep what we're doing safe as possible.
Absolutely.
Not all kids go right home after school. They're riding the bus for a period of time. But I will work on that with principals to see, because I'll need their help too to make that happen on a meal distribution. But I'll seek guidance from the State Department.
Okay, we're thinking outside the box. That's what we need to be doing.
Mr. Curtis, this is Lisa Black.
Go ahead, Lisa Black.
There is, as long as we're sending instructional work home, that would not affect our funding for that school day. So if we could say through packets, or if they were doing some online instructions or IXLs or whatever they were doing, and we were using it as a student instructional day, it would not affect our funding.
All right, excellent news there. Okay, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, you need that in form of a motion for the kids.
I do, Mr. Chairman, to authorize the director that in the form of a motion.
Let's keep our teachers in mind. I know it's a little soon to do that, but we need to be thinking about them, try to give them some sort of a break. Y'all try to come up with something. If this continues, I know we're gonna have
Absolutely.
something happen.
Mr.
Okay.
Curtis, this is Ms. Karen. Can I say something?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, I just wanted to add, you were just talking about it might be a little bit soon for that. I 100% think we need to give our teachers some relief. We are halfway through this 9 weeks. So if that we're thinking about curtailing distance learning at the end of 9 weeks, if our COVID numbers keep going down, this may resolve itself. So, I mean, I think we need to keep that in mind as well.
I was thinking the same thing, Ms. Karen. If these numbers continue to go down, that we will have less and less and less distance learners.
But if it were to go up, then we absolutely need to come back to the table and make some arrangements for our teachers to have some relief.
Absolutely. All right, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. Call the roll.
Motion made by Mr. Mullins, seconded by Ms. Thomas, to authorize the director of Cannon County Schools to utilize discretion to make determinations regarding individual student placement, i.e. distance learning or traditional learning, with the same authority as if the student were in the traditional setting. Mr. McMackins.
Aye.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
I knew that one would take a little while. Item number 9, approve the copier lease proposals. Now, this is for the central office.
This is correct. It's for the central office.
And Canon is cheaper
and
it's just
it-
a tad bit slower, but you guys recommend it.
And I do, and Mr. Douglas Jennings would like to say something. We did some checking today in regard to Canon, so Mr. Jennings, if you would get to a mic or get close to a mic or something, Mr. We can get, here's Wade McMackins' mic, you can. Have to help him there, bro.
We've been a customer of Xerox for years, ever since I've been at the central office, and their rates have actually gone down each time we've gotten a proposal from them. But this time, as y'all know, we can buy on the state contract, and Canon has a state contract, so that's the reason they're so much less. But our current copier has a booklet maker, it hole punches, it staples, it collates, it does a lot of things. And this Canon copier that you have listed on your sheet there does all of that except make a booklet. And I found out today that the booklet maker was used more than what I had thought. So I got back with the Canon representative, and he gave me a new quote of an average month would be $651.53, which is $16.64 more per month, and that gives us our booklet maker. So, and I have relied on our technology department to help us with knowing whether or not we'd have a good network connection, and their recommendations on the copier, and Brian tells me that Canon would be fine, and of course that's about over $200 a month less than what we're paying now. So that would save us some money, which we might find the money to pay the auditor then.
That's what I was thinking. That is more than I have heard you say in 4 years.
That's my swan song.
I think the centralized finance office has done something to you.
For what it's worth, this Canon copier is exactly what the military uses. This is what I have at work.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion we adopt Canon, right, that we're going with?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Call roll.
Motion made by Mr. McMackins, seconded by Mr. Mullins to approve Canon Solutions America monthly lease of $104.36. And I won't read all the black and white and all of that, but the monthly charge now with the booklet maker will be $651.53 for 60 months PPM. Mr. McMackins.
Aye.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
Item number 10. Revised policies 6.305, 6.316, 6.314, and 4.601. Mr. Curtis, that says 10 minutes.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I can do less than that if the board's indulgence. That was 6.319, I believe is what I think said 14, but 3.6.19. And these policies are via the TSBA. Their recommendation that we go back and look at these. The other one was 4.601 is another one that we reviewed because it was grading period was still the old 6 weeks. And we've been 9 weeks for a number of years. But I move that we revise Cannon County Board of Education policies 6.305, 6.316, 3.319, and 4.601 as recommended by the Tennessee School Boards Association. And any questions in regard to these? I've had our supervisors look through these. And the law, as I said at the workshop, the law is continuing to change. And it's hard for to keep in touch with and keep doing it. TSBA does an excellent job. And a lot of these policies were changed because of Tennessee state statutes that were passed by the Tennessee General Assembly. And then the Title IX stuff is from the feds. And Dr. Melton, our Title IX coordinator, all this has been rewritten and have been redone according to the policies that our Cannon County Board of Education attorney looks at. But they look at that, TSB looks at it, and our regular and our own board attorney also looks at it. And to me, these are policies that need to be revised. So I think I was quicker than 10.
That was very good for you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to revise the policies.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second's been made. Call the roll.
Motion made by Mr. Mullins, seconded by Ms. Thomas to revise Cannon County Board of Education policies 6.305, 6.316, 6.319, and 4.601 as recommended by TSBA. Mr. McMackins.
Aye.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
Item 11, approve the review of the board policies. Number 1, school board operations, 1.100 through 1.808. 5 minutes, Mr. Curtis.
Okay, I'll be quick. If you have in front of you, as my friends in the legislature say, it's spread among the members' desks, is this nice manual. I would love to take credit for this manual, but I did not assemble the manual. Ms. Teresa Lewis assembled the manual for you. And Teresa, I appreciate you doing that. And what we have there is your section 1. Some of y'all really like the paper copies. Others of you like the digital copies. So here's what I did. For your section that deals with school board operations, section 1, we have made you copies of all of those of the policies right there for you. So this has to do with what the board does. And so during my orientation sessions, then we can have this and you can do that. I also placed in the back part of this, and I appreciate Teresa's use of the binder there, is to, if you look at the very back part of that, I've given the director of schools, everything having to do with the director of schools as your employee. I have put that all in the back for you. Policy 5.800, 5.801, the director of schools recruitment and selection, and then also the back policy that I've got hanging on my door, at the back of my door at central office, that I look at every day is the qualifications and duties of the director of schools. So I've got that ready for you, and I've also at the very end, after the yellow sheet, I have a copy of my contract in there for your use. So you will have this electronically, but you'll also have this where it is there for you to review. Additionally, on the back side of that, since part of your deal of your packet of your operations, part of that, if you look at the next to the last one, is school district organization and planning. I have placed for you in the back of your notebook a copy of our district organizational chart. So you can see who's responsible for what with a copy of this organizational chart in your booklet. And you'll have that. And I think most of you are familiar with org charts, and you can see the organizational chart that is done. So I've also added in your booklet a little surprise, a little gift for you. And that gift is in your front. I'll use Mr. Mullins here. Is called the Opportunity Myth. That is put out by one of our partner organizations, TNTP. Great organization. This is a great read. Our principals would probably give the nod, or can I get a thumbs up from my principals? And regarding the opportunity myth, it makes you think differently about our schools and and education in general as of this. And also, with Dr. Milton has given us, since we're adopting our new reading series and our English language arts series, the Science of Reading, and that is put out by SCORE. SCORE is a quasi-governmental organization. It's called State Collaborative on Reforming Education. It talks about reading and the importance of reading. And they've done tremendous amount of research. It didn't cost us anything on that. But SCORE is a great organization that aids us with the science of reading. So I'm giving you, I usually get homework. I've just given you some homework there, members of the board, is you've got your manual that we'll talk about during orientation, but you've also got some things it talks about, and that opportunity myth, I think, is a game changer, I believe. It was illuminating to me when I read that. And there's some great stuff there, as well as in, Dr. Milton, you might want to say something on the science of reading that we had from SCORE. And that science of reading kind of springboarded us in our new English language arts reading adoption that we did earlier this year. So Dr. Milton, you might want to talk about that science of reading from
So I'll
SCORE.
just take a moment to talk about that. We've actually been in this journey on reading. Several years ago, we started with Reading First, that they based their understanding of the learning of reading around research-based practices that promote the learning. Then we went to Read to Be Ready, and now we're in this science of reading too. So we've sort of had this journey as we've learned more about how students actually learn to read. So I think that will open your eyes to some of the background that we've had. Miss Sism, I'm glad she stayed here because she was one of our committee members working on the new curriculum. But we even traveled to Putnam County to hear a renowned researcher talk about the science of reading. We went to the SCORE meeting in Nashville on the science of reading. So our group actually had a lot of knowledge about that before we got involved in the adoption process. But I think Mr. Curtis is going to at some time ask us to come in as an orientation and let you know some more things. So I'll give you some more information on that.
Next item on the agenda.
Okay, we reviewed it.
And more review to come, by the way. So it's coming.
Item number 12 is to appoint Deputy Director of School, which is supposed to be voted on once a year. I think we've missed that deadline.
It was in August, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for that. As I put in my email to you today, that should have been done in August, and I apologized. At the last August, I was otherwise indisposed after my heart surgery, so I didn't get to be here for that meeting of the board, but that wasn't on my radar. It is now. I've asked Teresa to put it on our radars for every August that you know that you're going to appoint the deputy director. And I also would ask you in this motion that we go back and look at to propose additions to the Cannon County Board of Education policy, adding the appointment procedure and specified duties of the deputy director with consultation with the Cannon County Board of Education Attorney Michael R. Jennings and TSBA General Counsel Jennifer White. Why I asked that, I don't know exactly where to put the deputy director in our board policy. Other systems have those. So I was going to have Jennifer White to look at that at TSBA to say this is what, and then I'll come back to you in another board meeting either October, November, and after researching that and say this is where I think we need to add that on the deputy director. But what the deputy director does basically for the new members of the board is if the director becomes indisposed and he has a massive heart attack, or she has a massive heart attack and something happens, then you have someone that can step up. And I want to commend Dr. Milton for stepping in for me last year. I said it then in the September meeting a year ago. I'll say it again. I appreciate Dr. Milton's working and not getting any extra pay at all, but she's ready to stand in for me. I'm going to be out of town some of the 1st of October. I've asked her to step in for me. If I'm out and something happens, that she can step in for me. And she does an excellent job. Been a former director or former superintendent. She understands the job and has done an exceptional work. She tried to pawn that off on Ms. Patterson earlier today, And Miss Patterson politely, she's trying to ignore me right now, but she politely declined that invitation earlier today before I sent this out. So, like I say, Dr. Melton was my choice to be deputy director, and to do that, and Marcia does a great job. And like I say, I can't thank her enough for stepping in for me last year. So, Marcia, you can pay me later for that, but part of that great stipend you receive. But I would recommend this, but I'll also ask you to propose additions that would be added to board policy. We tend to think, now, if I can, I guess, pontificate just for a minute or talk just for a second, is give an editorial here. If it's not in board policy, we tend to forget it if it's in the minutes somewhere. If this was in the minutes last year in August that I put there for you. As new boards come on and other members come and go, we tend to forget about what's in a minute. But in policy, like I say, you're reviewing that policy right now. So in policy, you see that, and it's a better reminder than if it's just in the minutes from 10 years ago. Because I don't know. I couldn't tell you the minutes from 2010. I probably couldn't unless it had to do something with what I was doing in 2010. But this, if it's in policy, you got it. You got it. I don't want to say it's etched in stone because you can change it, but at least it's there that you know it's there, and you know you need to do that every August. So that's what I would do in the form of this motion too. I would ask not only to approve Dr. Melton, but also for us to look at the proposal to make sure that this is in policy somewhere. So there's my pontification and commentary for the evening.
How many minutes is that?
I don't know if that was on there. We didn't say the amount of minutes on there, Mr. Chairman.
You said it wouldn't take long. Do I have a motion to approve Marcia Melton as deputy director and to approve it and put it in board policy that it is voted on once a year?
I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Call the roll.
Motion made by Ms. Thomas, seconded by Mr. Mullins to appoint Dr. Marcia Melton as Deputy Director of Cannon County Schools for 2020-2021 term. Furthermore, to propose additions to the Cannon County Board of Education policy at the October 2020 meeting of the board. Mr. McMackins.
Aye.
Ms. Duggan.
Aye.
Mr. Mullins.
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Fan.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 5 ayes, no nays.
Mr. Curtis.
Director's comments. I've commented a lot as I normally do, but I would ask
3 minutes, sir.
3 minutes. Okay, everybody go. See if I can get in my auctioneer voice real quick, rapidly here. Board retreat, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. and to 3 p.m. it says, but we're hoping to work through lunch and be done by 2. So that starts at 8 a.m. sharp and going 3 p.m. Miss Tammy Gris was scheduled to do that, but Tammy is having to go to another one somewhere else. So Ben Torres, I think Mr. Chairman knows Mr. Torres. Ben Torres, one of their general counsels, will be with us on Saturday morning, and Ben will do a great job. Great guy, and I think you'll enjoy his presentation. Now, orientation meetings. I would like to set up 4 orientation meetings, and I would like our principals to be there for the first orientation: Auburn, East Side, Short Mountain, and West Side. For a second orientation meeting, I'm giving everybody 30 minutes. That'll get you out in 2 hours. Everybody does 30 minutes. Okay? That get you out in 2 hours for those. The next one would be Cannon County High School, Woodbury Grammar, and Woodland. Would be the next one. That would get you out a little bit earlier on that one. Then the third one would be a supervisors, and the supervisors, Dr. Melton, Ms. Kathy Mullins, so over federal programs, Ms. Julie Vincent over special education, and Ms. Bonnie, being those 4 for that evening. And then the final one, supervisor directors, Jennifer Insel, the food service, Mr. Brian Kofer, and the physical staff would be the 4th one, and Mr. Curtis to talk about the director of schools duties. So that's 4 different ones that I'm proposing. Now, According to board policy, these need to be done before September the 30th. Now, I'm already going to say that I've already helped orient you the other night when we were here for till 9 o'clock or after, or whatever it was when we left there. So you've already had some orientation. It doesn't say how long, but I think coming on for the new board as a teacher myself, I'm going to be your teacher with this and help you to navigate through what each of our supervisors do, what each of our principals are, and what they do and what they face at each one of their schools. That's my job, to make sure that you're oriented in that. And so principals, you will get 30 minutes each to talk about your school and not only that, and I'll put principals on notice this, that you would be the challenges that you face. And the challenges that you face are different at Woodland than they are at Woodbury Grammar. They just are, because clientele is different, the students are different, and so that's why I'm trying to give principals two different ones of those for your interaction with them, and then supervisors the same. So I want to not just showcase our principals and showcase our supervisors, but also let you experience some of the things that they deal with that you may not know. And most of your, 4 of you are brand new. So you may not know that Dr. Melton is the Title IX coordinator and what Title IX is. Or you may not know that Mr. Kofer deals with, you probably do now, didn't tonight after we gave that report, of the multiple varieds of things that he has to deal with technology. Or Ms. Mullins as federal program supervisor and also pre-K. And Bonnie's 5 or 10, 15, 20 hats that she's wearing right now. And all of us, and Julie Vincent's not just special ed. Julie is involved with Homebound, and she's also doing 504. So that's what I'd like to orient you and help you to know that just that you're just thrown out here to vote on motions, that you're part of the team too. And each of you, we don't know a lot about you either. I need to know some things about our new board. You know, I know about how many grandkids Wade McMackins has because I've had a lot of them, but I don't know how many exactly he's got.
I don't know either.
Okay, so there's some things about you as a board we need to get to know each other better on. And Jennifer, I've got your notice. I did talk to Ben yesterday, and he's looking into that. He thinks that may be. And when I said you were active duty, then helicopters, that got his attention. So he did that too. So hopefully you're going to be able to do that and look at that on that. So I just need some dates on these. I've had some proposed dates, but I would like to know the board what dates you would like to do between now and the 30th to get these 4 days in. And I know some of you have different schedules and different nights, and so I need some guidance on that part.
Why don't you throw your dates up there and then you...
Okay, I've got some dates. How is everybody's Monday nights do? Good, bad, or not?
Better for me.
Good for me.
I know we have a cross-country coach in our midst, and I didn't know if she had any. How is your Monday nights? If it's not good, it's not good.
I got a good feeling for this, so.
You're thinking to be excused, Mr. Chairman?
I think so.
4 years of orientation has been.
I'm fixing to get pretty busy.
I know you are, Mr. Chairman.
My only Monday that I would have a problem with would be 9/21. I coach baseball, and I've got 2 games a night, every night we play. So
Okay.
That's the only
Letha,
Monday.
I'm looking at you, Vice Chairman Thomas, to see what nights that you might. I know your probably schedule is just like ours, all are booked, but I know your cross-country matches are going on right now.
Possibly have, there's one on the 28th. But they do start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon usually.
And I just said, I just threw these out. The Mondays are good for me. I'm good any day you want to meet with me, I'm available. So I'll make myself available except for the 17th. I have a 5:30 Financial Management Committee meeting, and those last about an hour. I could get to a 6:30 meeting if we had to. And there again, the 6:30 is just what we have done by tradition. If you want to do it at another time, that's more, we were doing it for the 6:30 meeting basically for one board member, because he was having to come to drive from Murfreesboro to get here. But we have a different board now, and if you want to do it at another time, that's totally up to this board on when you want to meet. So I'm available, our staff is available. I'll have to, like I say, I'll have to get with those principals whatever day we decide. I'm good any day y'all would like to do it.
Friday night's kind of out for me.
Well, yeah, I'm saying Friday night's probably not good for,
If we are gonna pick one, Monday night's better for me than anything.
okay?
If we're gonna pick a day of the week.
All right, so September 14th, is that good for Auburn Town, or Auburn School, East Side, Short Mountain, and West Side? Are we good for that night? Okay? What about the next one? Are we good? Are we good, principals, Auburn, East Side, Short Mountain, West Side? Are we good for the 14th?
I'm good for the 14th.
I'm good.
Okay. Ms. Foster, is she not on board? We'll check with Connie in the morning and see. Check
You
with
say you
her.
were providing supper?
Who
I'm
was-
teasing. It's Miss Karen. I said, are you providing supper?
We can provide some refreshments, yes. I will try to.
Teasing, Mr. Curtis.
Okay, I know you are, especially if we go 2 hours. I understand.
Auburn East.
Auburn, East Side, Short Mountain. Stephanie, are you available on the 14th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're good. We're good with principals, good with y'all. So if that's good,
You say 6 or 6:30?
I'm gonna poll the members here and see if we'd like to start early, we get out early. That's the way I look at it. Jennifer, can you get from Nashville by 6? Are we good? Derek, can you? Okay. So let's say it's 6 o'clock, or I can go 5:30. I can go whatever time. If
Let's
5:30
say
they get.
6. I would like to ask for 6. We're taking up money for our whatever Harvest Festival thing we're not doing next week on Monday.
Okay. All right, your non-harvest festival. Okay, I understand that.
My anti-harvest festival, yeah.
Anti-harvest.
It's a Facebook Live event next Friday night, the 18th. This is my plug for everybody listening. Please tune in.
Okay, the 14th at 6 o'clock, and we will highlight those particular schools. Okay, we got one down. Let's go 3 more. High school, Woodbury Grammar, and Woodland. I had put down the 21st, but if that's bad, Letha, is that bad for you, or?
No, the 21st is good.
First, okay, 21st, are we?
I have 2 games.
Okay, you've got games that night.
I do.
So if I zoomed it, would that help to
My games
To-
are 6 and 7:15.
you're coaching. If I zoom it, no, I want to record it. If I zoom it, I can record it, and Derek, you can go back. That's the beauty of technology now. If I zoom it, and Mr. Kofer, you won't have to be there. I can hit the record button and do that. So would that be acceptable then?
Yeah, or if you wanted to do it if anybody be okay with that Tuesday night, I don't know what anybody else might have. I would really like to be at it if I could.
Because Woodland is represented, I understand.
Well, any of them. I want to be at them all if I can.
Okay.
22nd, is that okay?
I
22nd?
cannot do the 22nd.
Okay, Aletha cannot do the 22nd.
But I
What
can do
about,
the 24th.
okay, what about the 24th?
Nope, I'm going.
Okay,
I'm gone.
see, this is what we get into with 5 different schedules. Go. Okay, let's do that. What about the 15th?
I can do the 15th.
I can do it.
Good.
I'll let Jimmy say.
What schools are on the 15th?
What time's your coach's show?
6:30.
Okay, 15th?
I know the 15th.
And this will be Kankakee High School, Woodbury Grammar, and Woodland. I'll have to check. I don't see any games on that, but I'll have to see the schedule for the high school. I think we'll be okay. 6 o'clock. And that'll be it. All of these at central office, unless y'all want to know another location.
Not here, it's cold.
Okay, cold here at Woodbury Grammar. Boardroom is a lot warmer. Sometimes it's too warm. Correct, Mr. Chairman? Am I correct in that observation? I have to lower Bonnie's heating and air unit in there, and sometimes she gets ill the next morning when it's too cold down there. The snowflakes are flying. Okay, so 6 p.m. on those 2 days. All right, that's great. Okay, and so we've ruled out the 17th. Is that correct? Because there are multiple people out the 17th or can't the 17th for the next one. Or have we? Let's talk about 17th. Can we do it 17th? I've got a financial management committee meeting at 5:30. I'm usually done at 6:30, but Derek can't anyway. So we've knocked that one out. Okay. All right. Then we go to the 21st, which I think we've talked about. Everybody, but Derek on the 21st. What about the 22nd? Okay. We could do the same thing, Ms. Thomas, if we could Zoom it and record it, and you could watch it later. Is that, but the 22nd, was anybody else on the 22nd?
I don't know nothing on the 22nd. I got the 21st and 24th, so my last two ones.
Okay.
I am okay with that.
So
Just
is that
because I know
okay?
everybody's calendar, it's gonna get
Right,
crazy.
yeah, it was crazy.
Anything on the 28th or 29th?
Nope.
Right, can we do 28th or 29th?
Absolutely. Hey, I'm open. I'm just looking schedules.
That would work. Yeah, my season ends.
Yeah.
28th, 29th? Okay, let's do the other two, the 28th, 29th. I have a doctor's appointment, but it's a quick one in Murfreesboro on the 29th, but I might could get that scheduled another day. Maybe I can get that on that Wednesday. Okay? And those will be the supervisors. Dr. Melton, are you okay on the 24th?
We did say 24th.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. So the 28th, are you good? Kathy, Julie, no conferences. Bonnie, are y'all good on the 28th?
I'm good on the 28th, Mr. Curtis.
Okay, thank you, Julie. I didn't know you were on, so thank you.
Yep.
It helped me out when I talked about homebound a minute ago.
Sorry.
6 o'clock, okay? All right. And then the 29th would be Jennifer. Jennifer, are you okay on the 29th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Brian? 29th, are you good? Right. I hear somebody. And then physical staff. Douglas, you'll get being toward the swan song. Y'all will get being toward the swan song on physical staff on the 29th. Are you good, Douglas? You guess. That'd be part of your swan song on physical services that you provide. Okay, I think we got it, Mr. Chairman. That's pretty good. 5 people schedules all jiving. That's
3 minutes times 10.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir. I'd like to thank Wade and Derek and Jennifer and Aletha for truly volunteering for this. I appreciate it. I like somebody standing here and everybody's real encouraged. Everybody seems like they want to help and they want to try, and I really appreciate it. I really, truly do. And our teachers, what y'all are doing right now, and our principals and our supervisors, this is truly a test on everyone. I know I've been hearing from you and I appreciate it. Don't stop commenting about it. We're going to do what we can to try to lighten some of the load. I understand you're working 2 jobs, and I know what that's like. And I know the pay's not anymore, and I am truly sorry for that. But thank you for your time, and thank you for what you're doing for kids. I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.